Happy Thanksgiving. For many people, Thanksgiving means football, family, leftovers, dysfunction. But John and I here on the focus group want you to also pay attention to something that's happening on Thanksgiving Day, and that's the National Dog Show. This is the focus group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller, Bueller, Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the focus group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Gobble, gobble. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host John Nash, who started laughing when I was doing my cold opening because I said leftovers, family,
I think
football,
I laughed after the dysfunction. I think I waited to laugh during the opening
Doesn't
sequence.
everyone always have that dysfunctional moment during Thanksgiving?
Happy Turkey Day. Who's sitting where? Who's on the folding chair? Who's at the kids' table? Was so-and-so invited?
Go around the table.
You and I are very happy about one thing, though.
What's that?
Thanksgiving is the time of year you get to plop out. I don't know. I know Bob's excited about it. That cylinder of cranberry that comes out of the and it's got the
rings on it,
the can line.
Most people will not have anything but. You know, Richard tried to make real cranberries. I'm like, that's not cranberries. You got to have it when it comes out of that can.
Well, if you're lucky, it stays whole.
Yeah.
And I know Garrett's smiling. Hey, we got Garrett on audio. We have John on video. They're a team that brings us out to you every week. Thank you, guys. There you go, camera. There we go. There's the booth.
I found a little GIF. Is it a GIF or a GIF? And it was shaken of the cranberry.
Oh, you mean like just a GIF? GIF.
I don't know why I call it a GIF or a GIF. I'm old. I guess I don't know.
So, I think the kids call it a GIF or a GIF too. So don't worry.
So hey, we've got somewhat of an abbreviated show, knowing many of you have got to go stuff a bird, and a lot of people go. Tonight is a big bar night too, particularly for the gay community. It's the biggest bar night around. I've never gone out to a bar the night before. Have you?
Yep.
Before Thanksgiving.
It was a tradition of ours here in New York City. Prior to New York Magazine publicizing this event, we used to meet at a bar on the Upper West Side, have Manhattans, a warming drink, and then we used to go watch the balloons get blown up.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think later on, a picture you put in the deck is exactly what we saw one year.
Well, one of the pictures in the deck actually has, I think it's Spider-Man.
His face is parked on the.
He'd fallen into Uncle Sam. So if
no, he's parked there.
Is he parked there on purpose?
Because Spider-Man flies.
He is there if you're watching on the video. He's taking care of business.
So Spider-Man flies down the avenue like that. Of course, his face is not buried in the chicken's behind, but.
It's like a reverse roll. It's like Putin and
it used to be so much fun to walk around the Museum of Natural History and watch these, because it was the two side streets they did this on, and it was not that crazy. And then they publicized it, and that was that.
Now it's all ruined. Everything gets ruined. So
everything gets ruined.
So after we do our usual banter here, we've got David Frei joining us, who is been one of the co-hosts of the National Dog Show, which takes place on Thanksgiving. You can watch it on Thanksgiving, the same time across the country. I didn't realize that. It's all in the same time, right after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So he's going to talk to us about the National Dog Show this year. And there's two new, I can't pronounce them. One of them I could pronounce, but two new breeds this year that are joining the National Dog Show. So he's going to join us later on in the show and talk to us about
I tried to pronounce
National Dog Show.
As I was doing my preparation. I struggled to pronounce, and then I stopped and I thought, no, the way Tim would say it's that two new dogs.
There's two new dogs. It's like a Nederhoeden Haden Kurkerhuki.
Yeah, something like that. One was a little more pronounceable.
GVBV.
Yeah, one was a little more pronounceable.
Anyway, we'll let David handle that with us when he talks to us about the National Dog Show. Do you watch the dog show?
Yeah, I sometimes do, because it's a relief. I'm not going to knock the we've actually had Amy Cool, who used to be the former director of the Macy's Day Parade, on years ago. We had her on. You know, they plan that thing all year.
Yeah.
But the thing about the parade, and I may be wrong about this, it's one big ad. You know, look, we're marketing and advertising guys, and I like advertising, but everything's an ad. Even the balloons are ads.
And it's so canned with the tap dancing and the performances in front of Herald Square.
Lip sync.
It's painful. I can't watch the parade anymore. My mother has it on, because that's what you do. The parade's on.
You do other things while it's on, and
Mixed
then
nuts are out.
When the
celery with
parade's over,
peanut butter and cream cheese and walnuts.
Oh, really?
My dad does those. Like it's almost like he's doing cement.
Scrapes it.
Got scrapes, and I put the cream cheese, some with walnuts, some with peanut butter.
Celery with cream cheese.
Oh, yeah. Which I love. You know, by the way, when it heats up, it's pretty good.
I have not had a celery log. That's what I would call it, with the cream cheese in it.
My dad is very methodical about making it too. It's hilarious the way he makes it. But anyway, it wouldn't be Thanksgiving without it. That and creamed onions. My grandmother used to have. So what caught your eye this week?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
I have a short one, and it caught my eye because of my fascination with animation. So, Aardman Studios is responsible for one of my niece's favorite shows when they were growing up, Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, yeah.
The Guy and the Dog, the movie Chicken Run, and Shaun the Sheep. Stop motion animation. They move the puppet, they take a frame. They move the puppet, they take a frame. Based in England, in the UK. The owners of the studio are actually turning the studio over to the employees, which I thought was fascinating. Aardman founders Peter Lord and David Sproxton will pass on ownership of the studio to its employees, a move aimed at providing for its independence in the increasingly monopolized entertainment industry. So they've set up a trust with the company's stock. They're on the board, and they report to the trustees, which is actually going to be the employees. And they're going to turn Aardman Studios over to the employees. I think
That's nice.
And when one of them said, we've spent so much time building this company up and being so profoundly attached to it, it's not a business to us, it's everything. It's our statement to the world. And I think it's kind of a cool, creative thing to do, is to turn your company over to the people that have made it. Because a lot of these employees have been there for years. Right. It's a highly specialized skill set, character animation / stop motion animation. So that was what caught my eye.
You think they'll make money on it?
The end of the article, the guy's a Hollywood writer, came out of the Hollywood Reporter, and he said, we'll see how this experiment goes. Knowing the business and how movies get made, we'll see how this goes.
There's the passion of it, and then there's
the dollars and cents. Yeah.
Mine is a short one too, and it's another one of these where I had to check the onion to make sure check is it Snopes to make sure that it was true, but it was cited in a number of different publications. It's a woman in England. The headline is "Woman catapulted off bed during sex."
Catapulted.
She's catapulted off the bed during sex, and she's paralyzed. And so she decided to sue the company. So,
if you're watching the video, by the way, I don't know where Tim finds these pictures, but here's what I think you do.
Yeah.
There's a picture of a lady sprawled in front of a bed.
I did.
And then there's a picture, that Walmart picture of that.
My favorite, and I just put it in there. The fatso looking for sodas. It's always my favorite shot. That's a classic.
But I love how you must do your search like Fallen, or who knows
Lady
what
Fall. That's the actual woman there, if you're watching. The woman in the white, that's the actual woman with the claim. And I love the cigarette behind her neck, the woman with the cigarette.
The caregiver.
So
is she paralyzed?
So she's paralyzed. So Claire Busby is her name, and she was having sex with her husband, Marshall, on this bed that they bought in 2013, mind you. So this is 5 years later. This just happened. Okay. So Claire, and they live in Maidenhead. You can't make it up, right?
Maidenhead.
She was on her knees having sex, she said. She said she was on her knees having sex with her husband.
That makes the name of the town even...
That's why I even laughed there in Maidenhead. It was a Berkshire, in Berkshire, and it's the Berkshire Bed Company. And she said that she decided to change positions, and she swung her leg around and went to throw her head back, and she catapulted like a trampoline off the bed and landed on her head, sprained her neck, and she's paralyzed. Marshall, her husband, thought it was funny at first, and he was laughing at her, because she said she just tuck her leg under, going to get down, and falls off the bed. She's paralyzed.
Is she permanently paralyzed?
Well, that was not necessary. Yes, I think so. She's got injuries. Well, they said they said Marshall said he found it funny. He realized the horror of her injuries. She could not feel her arms or legs. He said at that point they realized it was no joking matter. It says she's permanently damaged. It doesn't say what that means.
I'm damaged from hearing this story, but that's another matter.
So the judge said that as unfortunate as this accident was, and the bed company, they said that they apparently either had the bed put together wrong, or they realized the bed just didn't catapult her off the.
Because you said something like they had not properly.
Well, the bed company says perhaps the legs weren't fastened correctly, or didn't have the legs attached correctly to the bed. But it's been 5 years since the bed's been there. So the bed company's like, if the legs collapsed and you fell off, that's not our problem. You know, that if you didn't put the bed together correctly or whatever. She made it sound like she'd, catapulted off the bed.
Judge Judy needs to be involved in this one. She would have read them the riot act, because you're right. 5 years after the fact, now there's a malfunction in the bed.
And so Berkshire says, our beds and mattresses can be trusted to provide comfort and style, and they're perfectly safe. It reminded me, just a quick sidebar. When I was at Subaru, there was a woman who I tapped her bumper, literally tapped her bumper at 12 miles an hour or less. And exchange niceties, exchange information, nothing of it, no damage visible on either car. Of course, she finds out I work at Subaru. She wants to sue for millions of dollars because now she can't make her kids' beds. She can't go to the boardwalk in Wildwood and ride the rides. And she couldn't have sex with her husband.
I remember this. Well, was she having it before?
Well, I was like, well, could she have sex with anyone else? But so her claim was she couldn't have sex with her husband. And I said to the attorney, I said, it's really those cheap, Payless orange high heels she's wearing is why her back hurts. I said, it had nothing to do with this little bump fender bender. And he's like, be quiet, be quiet. So they gave her, to shut her up, to go away, they gave her $12,000, which I was furious about. But it reminds me of the same sort of thing. Somebody here is just trying to get some money, and the judge is like, not going to happen.
Although I do still have the image of the catapulting.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to imagine in my head what position they were in, that she would move her leg and catapult off the bed, and it all comes up.
Well, she was on her knees, and she said she swung her leg around. She was going to lay back, and boom, she came flying off.
Okay. Now I'm getting a clearer picture, which I'm trying to erase. But okay.
Business birthday is also a quick one.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
You know George Zimmer, born today, November 21st, 1948, 70 years old.
You're going to like the way you look.
I guarantee it. Founder of the Men's Warehouse. He was chairman from 73 to 2013. Was fired in 2013 because he didn't understand the difference between a public company and a private company, and was bringing in kind of like he brought in self-help guru Deepak Chopra. They said he was acting as if the company was private when it was really public, and he was spending too much money, so they decided to fire him. He left with $70 million. He started two other brands called Z Taylor.
Yeah, that's
and
like
Generation Tux, which is a tuxedo company, obviously, and then there's Z Tailors, who has since made a deal with Macy's and Bloomingdale's as their permanent or in-house tailorer for doing alterations and stuff for clothing. And Men's Warehouse has since been sold to Tailored Brands, which also owns Joseph Banks.
Oh, okay.
He also had experience with his mom, who was dying of cancer, and he thought that therapeutic use of ecstasy, or MDMA, and marijuana was very helpful to her, and he was very supportive of Proposition 19 in California to get legal use of ecstasy and marijuana for people with chronic pain.
Mom, I'm giving you the pill now. In 5 minutes, you're going to feel great.
So happy birthday, George Zimmer.
Not bad. Well, hey, look, he built a pretty cool company, right?
Yeah. Hey, everyone who knows us here in the Focus Group knows that Deep Discount's a partner of ours here. Be sure to go to focusgroupradio.com and click on the Deep Discount logo.
Sharky the Shark.
Sharky the Shark is there. We're getting ready
John's
for
got really good at putting the shark right over the logo, and he comes out with his gnarled face. And
we're getting ready for the holiday season, and of course, everybody wants to shop and get their items. There's a Black Friday Cyber Week sale going on right now. John, what did you pick this week?
Okay. So I could pick a ton of stuff off the Deep Discount site. You get there. Did you tell people how to get there? Go to focusgroupradio.com. Click on the shark.
You were too busy talking about Sharky.
I like Sharky. I like when John does that. I gravitated to Christmas Time in South Park on DVD. If you are a South Park fan, then you know that they have done a number of Christmas specials, which are not only hilarious, irreverent, but I almost cry laughing sometimes. And of course, they invented Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo. This thing is only like at Deep Discount on sale. I think it's like $8.
Wow.
Could you move that over a little bit, John? Let's see. Yeah, I was right. I was way wrong. It's $3.99.
$3.99. You can't beat that with a stick.
If you don't order this now, and operators are standing by, you'd be crazy, because it has some of the best titles they did. A Very Crappy Christmas, Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo, Merry Christmas Charlie Manson, haha, Mr. Hanky's Christmas Classics, Red Sleigh Down, that was a good one actually, It's Christmas in Canada, and Woodland Critter Christmas. So by all means, for $3.99, do not deny yourself the pleasure of Christmas time in South Park.
I gotta get that. Mine is, I picked some CDs this week, and anyone who's been a fan of our show, particularly in the last 10 or 11 years, knows that during the holiday time, instead of bringing a bottle of booze or a food item sometimes, I started many years ago bringing this CD to parties, and it's Ella Wishes You a Swinging Christmas.
Great one.
So it's a great, jazzy, stylized Christmas album of all the great songs, and Ella Fitzgerald just does a knockout job with it. And it's one of those things where I've given it to people, and years later they tell me how they play it, and they bring it out and still think about how I gave it to them. What a great gift it was as a hostess gift sort of thing. So I went on deep discount. The one that's there was sold out, but there's another one.
But wait.
There's more. So there's Ella Wishes You a Swinging Christmas plus Christmas Carousel, which includes another CD. So there's a total, I believe there's a total of 51 or 52 songs on this compilation.
Wow.
It came out in 2016. It's under $20. It's $18 and change. And so it has the Ella Fitzgerald album, plus it has music from Peggy Lee, Charles Brown, and Stan Kenton. And it's just all great, uplifting, fun holiday music.
So, Tim, do you think that they put those, like, is it like a 4-disc set or something? Or do they mix up the songs?
It's 2 discs.
Okay.
So you get the Ella disc, which also includes Peggy Lee. And then the second disc has Charles Brown, Stan Kenton, and it has some Sidney Beckett in it as well. But it's just one of those things where you put it on, and
that's a one and done. You could buy that disc, and
done.
that's your Christmas soundtrack. Great. And this week, a movie that I was dying to see in theaters but did not make it in time, because lately movies are in and they're out, right?
Yes.
It's like a week or two. Crazy Rich Asians on Blu-ray. Manhattan economics professor Rachel Chu knew that her guy, Nick Young, came from money, but when she accompanies him to a wedding in Singapore, she wasn't prepared for the eye-popping extent of how wealthy his family is. The movie got great reviews. A lot of press and buzz about what it meant for the Asian community and for Asian actors to have such a high-profile vehicle. But most people said, hilarious, you're going to love it from start to finish. So I definitely want to watch this. So it's Crazy Rich Asians on Blu-ray.
Buy it here because they were charging over $21 on my cable network for it if you wanted to buy it.
Seriously?
So it's half the price here at deep discount. Yeah.
For the on-demand?
Richard and I were going to watch it.
Oh,
It made you buy it. They wanted you to buy it.
Gonna buy it. Okay, all right. All right, so to recap for our Thanksgiving deep discount recommendation, by all means, get Christmas Time in South Park on DVD. You will not regret it. Tim recommended Ella Wishes You a Swinging Christmas and Xmas Carousel. It's a combination of 2 discs, over 52 songs.
Yep.
And the release this week is Crazy Rich Asians on Blu-ray. Arr, what do we say, Garrett?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
All right, we are going to return, and when we come back from our break, we are going to be having David Frei on. He's from the National Dog Show, which we all want you to watch after the Thanksgiving Day Parade. So stay with us, and you're going to meet David Frei next.
Brought to you by the Volkswagen Tiguan. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here. Happy Thanksgiving. It's the Wednesday before. And John and I wish you and your families and friends a great and safe, happy Thanksgiving holiday.
Travel safe.
Travel safe. One of our favorite things about Thanksgiving Day, though, aside from the turkey and the leftovers and the dysfunction, as I mentioned to John,
This is so true.
is the National Dog Show. So the Philadelphia Kennel Club, or the Kennel Club of Philadelphia, hosts the National Dog Show, which is on Thanksgiving Day. It's a 2-hour special. It's on right after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And it's on the same time everywhere across the country. And so we're fortunate today to have David Frei join us, who's one of the expert analysts that co-hosts the show with John O'Hurley. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you. It's great to be here amidst all the dysfunction and things coming at us on Thanksgiving Day. We have a great time. We hope that we'll be able to take your minds off that family dysfunction.
Well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. And before we get going, I found a picture of you, and then I was reading some of your bio, and you happen to live in one of my favorite places on earth. I used to live in Portland, Oregon, and spent a lot of time in Cannon Beach. Is that where you are currently?
Yeah, it's paradise. We've been there. We moved back there 2.5 years ago from New York City after 14 years in New York. We had been, Sherry, my wife, and I had been residents in Seattle for 20 years before we moved to New York City. So we had 14 great years in New York, but, 14 years was probably plenty for somebody who was from the Northwest, and it was great to be back in Cannon Beach.
Well, one quick question about Cannon Beach. Can you still get sand dollars there, or they've been ruined by storms?
Haven't seen any. I think the storms have pretty much taken them out. What we have that will last forever is Haystack Rock, of course, 265 feet tall and kind of the hallmark of what we have in Cannon Beach. But, yeah, come visit us. We are regularly gathered right at a restaurant there in town called the Driftwood, which has an outdoor deck, which is good for you and your dog. So come see us.
That's great.
Hey, David, this is John.
There's your segue.
Hey, David, this is John. I want to thank you for joining us. And, I was looking over some of your bio info, and I know the show very well. Two things. First, I think this is one of your favorite days of the year. And second, you've probably seen the movie Best in Show. How loosely or closely is that based on the stuff you do?
I carry it around with me. It's a fair picture of what we do. It's a little bit over the top, but we were all concerned about the movie when we heard that it was coming out in 2000, and we were concerned because we wanted to protect the integrity of the sport and the dogs and everything. They didn't make fun of the dogs. They didn't make fun of the people, and they didn't make fun of the sport. They only made fun of the people, and we say that we're a pretty target-rich environment for something like that. And it's a fun show. We had fun with it, but we got the real thing. So
what I love watching the dog show, and I've watched forever. Now you've started. Was it 2002? So is this your 17th year?
This is our 17th year of the National Dog Show. Before that, and overlapping with that somewhat, I did the Westminster Dog Show on television for 27 years. So dogs are a big part of my world, and it couldn't have happened to me in a greater way. And just thrilled with it. I never had a dog really in the family growing up, and got involved with dogs later. I blame it on a woman. And I moved into a house in college, and she said, "Let's get a dog." And I said, "Well, okay, 20-year-old guy will do anything that the girlfriend wants." And I said, "Okay, what kind?" And she said, "How about an Afghan hound?"
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, that's a big dog.
Yeah. So we got the dog, and 3 weeks later, the girl left, and the dog stayed, and it was the best thing that could have happened to all three of us. So got involved with dog shows, got involved with television, and it's been a great life for me. I've got the greatest job in the world, and get to do it every day with the dogs that I love and the dogs that love me. So
before we talk about the Kennel Club show, though, another thing that I think you're very proud of is the work you've done with the therapy pets. And I was kind of amazed by this, because I think any of us who have owned a cat or a dog or a cat, depending on the primacy, understand the value of a beautiful pet or an animal around you. Is that something that you still are doing and working on with the therapy dogs?
I still am. We had a charity, a 501c3 charity. Well, we were in New York. We've lessened that now. We don't have. It's not a 501c3 charity anymore, but we still have the activity called Angel on a Leash. It's about therapy dogs in healthcare facilities and other places. While we were in New York, we spent a lot of time at the Ronald McDonald House, where my wife was actually the director of family support. She's a Catholic chaplain. And then Grace, my dog, and I would visit the VA hospital every Wednesday. I'm a veteran, and I'm a guy, and in the age demographic of most of the patients I'm visiting there. So, and they all love Grace. I mean, they don't even know who I was, but they knew who Grace was. And it's great fun doing great things for people. Get their minds, get them to smile. If nothing else, get them to smile. Get them to talk. Maybe they haven't been talking for a while. Maybe they have other challenges that they're thinking about and facing all the time. You can get your mind off of that when you bring them a dog, and it's really rewarding.
Well, it's that unconditional love. Hey, I
have that unconditional love, and dogs are so spontaneous, and they live their life in the moment. And a lot of the patients that we visit, they're living their life in the moment too, because they may be facing some real tough diagnoses, and it's nice for us to be able to get a smile out of them as well.
I have a two-part question. It might be political, so we'll see. So as I watch the show, I'm always amazed at the judge when they do the best in show, because you've got everything from maybe a little Yorkie or a Chihuahua all the way up to a Bull Mastiff. And there's this one judge that I know must have an expertise in one particular breed or a couple. And I'm just always wondering, is it subjective? And would this group of dogs that are up for best in show, at a different show, would a different dog win? And
sure, that's what keeps the sport alive, is that it's based on the individual interpretation of a single judge at each of 3 levels, and you're interpreting the standard, which is a written description of the ideal specimen of that breed, usually relating form to function. What they were originally bred to do, every dog was bred to do a job for us, whether it's sit on our lap or herd our sheep or protect our home. So you need to know what that dog was bred to do. You need to be able to picture them doing that, because you don't always get that opportunity in the show ring. And our judges started with a single breed, their own breed, and then they get involved with other breeds. They have to know that standard. And sometimes, I know what you're going with this question. If I started with Afghan hounds, does that mean I'm going to favor Afghan hounds in the best in show lineup? Well, I'm probably going to be tougher on the Afghan hound, because I probably know that breed better than anything else.
Right.
So yeah, they got to be good, but the best dog, the greatest dogs they're just like great athletes. They don't all score 40 points every night out. Sometimes they may have gotten into some pizza in your hotel room the night before, and they don't feel quite right in the ring today. But they're athletes, and they have to show, and they have to be on, and they have to be on anytime they're in front of the judge. So the judge has to know what they're doing, and ultimately, they've got to be a great specimen of their own breed, and they have to put on a show. I had an old-time judge tell me once years ago, and I've held on to it ever since, it's a dog show, and you got to show. And it really is about them owning the ground they stand over and putting on a show for you.
That's great.
As you were saying that, I imagined, a dog coming out balanced on 2 legs with like something going on, juggling or something. We're talking to David Frei. He's one of the co-hosts of the National Dog Show. David, 2 new breeds are being introduced this year, and for the life of me,
hence knowing about different breeds
and stuff like that, we were trying to pronounce the names beforehand. So one of them is the Grand Basset Griffon Vendine, and the other one is
Almost. Almost.
All right, so
this is why I have a job. My job is safe.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Well, let him do the next one then. That's going to be the best one, David.
The other one I think is the
that one.
Nederlands Kukerhondje.
Kukerhondje?
Pretty close. All
right, so maybe the Russian gives me a 8. So what are these 2 new breeds? You could pronounce them for us.
The first one's a French breed, and it's they hunt rabbits, but it's the Grand Basset Griffon Vendéen.
Boy, was I off.
Well, grand is a French word for large. Basset means low or close to the ground, which they are, short-legged, so they can be down there with the rabbits. A Griffon refers to the wiry coat that they have, mostly around the face, but also elsewhere on the body. And Vendéen is the region of France that they're from. So a few years ago on television with the Petit Basset Griffon Vendéen, I said that name, and Mary Carrillo, who was my partner at Westminster, said, "Geez, your French is great." I said, "Yeah, my high school French teacher, Mrs. Bach, would be quite proud of me." And I'm a long ways beyond high school. That had to be 35, 40 years ago. And I'll be darned if the next day I don't get a Facebook hit from her saying, "Canine, comment allez-vous?" It was great fun, but our dogs cross all these boundaries and find people through everything.
Well, they call that one the GBGV, right, for short?
Yeah, there you go, GBGV. That's what we call them. So you're picking right up on it. You're ready to come to a dog show.
But the next one, what's the next one?
The next one is the Nederlands, or Netherlands, Dutch, Kuikerhondje.
So it's a Dutch hound dog.
A Dutch hound. They are a duck tolling dog. Their job is to pique the duck's curiosity when they're sitting out there in the water and get them to come down a waterway into a netted trap. And in years past, that was so then you could get them and take them to market. But nowadays, as part of what our dogs are doing, they capture the ducks and band them and turn them loose and use them for wetlands research and conservation.
Wow. So
the Quaker Hunja has a great place for us.
If you're watching on the video, we had pictures of the two dogs that are up there if you want to check that out. Is this similar to the Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever?
It is. It is. Only the Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever just kind of hangs around on the bank and gets the ducks to come over to them out of curiosity, and then which is where usually a hunter with a gun will go after them. Now they've lessened that involvement too, but that was a more direct approach than just kind of channeling them down a waterway.
Wow. So the show is on. You want to tell us a little bit how many people tune in and what people can expect for the special?
We figure we're around 30 million people watching us each year, with about 20 to 25 on Thanksgiving Day and another 5 million watching the rebroadcast on the weekend, which is probably Friday but could be Saturday. Check your local listings on NBC. But the National Dog Show presented by Purina on NBC at noon in every time zone. And it's a great family fun. We say dogs until 2 on Thanksgiving Day. Hold on to the remote. Don't let the football people in your family get a hold of it. So, and then you can watch the dog show, and then there's plenty of football the rest of the day. I grew up in a football family, so I can say that.
So the Dogs Until 2, it's Pet Life Radio, which we'll post on our website, but there's actually a meme contest where a consumer can win up to $500 for a great meme that you guys
great
may
fun.
use.
Send us a picture of your dog doing something cute and put a caption on it. That's what a meme is, and aim it towards the dog show, and you might win a trip. You might win $500 and a trip to the dog show next year.
That'd be great. I'm going to do that with my dogs.
Yeah, Tim's got 2 rescues, a Puggle and a Chihuahua, and they're both full of personality. Would a dog like a Puggle,
would that ever be considered a breed?
Well, not yet, but there's a few breeds that got their start by somebody putting a couple of different purebred dogs together to try and combine some traits in them. I said, this dog does good at herding, this dog does good at keeping the rats out of my kitchen, so I'm going to breed them together and get both traits. It doesn't always happen quite that simply, but over the course of years, maybe you can develop a breed like that. We talk about new breeds, and we talk about the new breeds this year. Those are breeds that have been around for years, and when we say new, it really means newly recognized by the American Kennel Club and eligible for competition in our show, because these dogs have been out there. They just haven't had enough of them in this country, and they need to have a parent club watching out for them. So that's part of the requirement to get them on our show.
Yeah, so Tim, there are rules and there are ways and there are pathways to the Puggle getting
I think the Jack Russell was probably one of the more famous.
Much more famous. Yeah. Hey, David, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. We've been talking to David Frei. He's one of the co-hosts of the National Dog Show that's put on by the Kennel Club of Philadelphia. It's going to be broadcast directly after the Macy's Day Parade this year. We have a couple pictures of David with the other host, John Hurley, you might recognize from Seinfeld as Jay Peterman. You guys make a great duo there on screen. I'm looking at some of the pictures. But thank you again for joining us. I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and remind our listeners to tune in to the National Dog Show presented by the Kennel Club of Philadelphia, and that's right after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So have a great holiday, David, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Go home and hug your dog.
Thank you. And if you don't have a dog, hug your neighbor's dog.
There you go. That works.
All right, folks, we're going to take a really quick break, and when we return, we're going to wrap up our little Thanksgiving show for you, so stay with us.
Brought to you by the 7-seater Volkswagen Atlas. Life's as big as you make it. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Been in business a week. I got more money than I know what to do with.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
Herrera Rocher. He is doing well.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Happy Thanksgiving. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, John Nash. We were just finished up with David Frei from the National Dog Show. Be sure to watch it Thanksgiving Day from noon until 2. If you go to our Facebook page, which is Focus Group Radio, we'll post the way to enter that meme contest. I think I'm going to try to do a meme with Spike and Trixie.
Do you have any pictures of Spikey wearing his Halloween costume?
I do have him with a jockey, but it's got to be something related to the day and the football. So we'll figure it out. But
because Spike wears a costume for a while.
Yeah.
And then he decides he doesn't want to wear
a little jockey on it that jumps around. Then he's got a bat outfit.
The bat outfit.
Trixie's got a ballerina outfit. She's a little full figured.
I don't think Trixie likes
She's got the reindeers too. I get her the reindeer horns.
Does she like wearing a costume?
She tolerates it because she knows she'll get a treat. You know, she's very food focused. Trixie.
We have quite the dog neighborhood, by the way, where we live now. And right, I was telling Tim, we have across the hall from us, our neighbors have a Labradoodle.
They're great dogs.
Labrador and a poodle. Very gentle, friendly, beautiful dog. And I've learned that she likes the doormat we have in front of our door. That it's made of some material. But our neighbor said every time if they're waiting to take her on a walk, she goes right to the mat and sits down and waits.
Those dogs are great because they don't shed and they're hyperallergenic. So so if you have kids that have allergies and stuff, it's a great dog for that reason.
I watched them when they got the dog. Her name is Maple, and they crate trained her. So she had an area of the home that was her area for months and months and months. Yeah, her den. And as a result of it, she is the most incredibly friendly little dog.
I love dogs. Anyway.
I was a cat guy.
I know you were. But cats are easier in New York.
I love cats too. And yes, in New York, if you don't want to walk outside every day of your life with a plastic bag, cats are the way to go.
Cats are the way to go in a city like that. If I didn't have a yard, I probably wouldn't have the dogs because of that reason. Because I let them out and they do their business.
It's hard. Everybody that I know who has dogs have dog walkers. There's a whole ecosystem around that dog going out once or twice a day, and it's
they're not self-sustaining. They can't take care of themselves for a weekend like a cat. You can leave a box of food and they'll handle it.
And if you left it, they'll knock it over and they'll take care of themselves.
They won't eat it all in one shot. They're pretty smart.
So you're heading up to Connecticut for Thanksgiving?
Connect I cut. And we're going to Connecticut where the past is still present, John.
The past is very much still present.
Apple pies and pumpkin pie.
I think you'll be surprised by some of the traffic. There's been some repair work done. 84 is a little easier to deal with.
Connecticut's been ruined.
Well, my mom
not only by bad governors and mishandling and mismanagement and everything else, Connecticut's gone.
I'm still laughing at a card we sent to Ella Grasso when she was governor. Tim was in charge of picking her up a card when she was very sick. And it was a little book, and it had kitty, dog, and then you'd flip it, and there'd be a piece of Mylar, and it said Sicky. Remember that one?
It's from the student government of the Pomperaug High School. We all signed it.
And it got
Foxhurst let us send it.
I'm sure Governor Grasso had a laugh at that.
Governor Grasso's got a sense of humor.
She does.
Bring her a smile.
Sicky.
It's like a therapy dog.
All right, we want to thank you for joining us here today on the Focus Group. We want to wish everybody a very, very relaxing and happy Thanksgiving. Please travel safe if you're driving, and if you're flying, well, I'm sorry.
there was your thing, by the way, on that slide.
The cranberry. You got to have canned cranberry, and it's got to come out with the rings of the can on it. Look,
that's Bob going to be serving that?
I want to.
Just do it anyway. Just get one.
I'm going to get one anyway to do it anyway because, big thanks to Deep Discount here on the Focus Group. They've been partners of ours for a long time. Tim had a Christmas CD, Ella's Swingin' Christmas, and the Carousel, so it was a combined disc. I picked South Park Christmas DVD. It's only $3.99. You can't really resist it. Crazy Rich Asians was the release this week. And a big thank you to Volkswagen of America for being with us. Again, don't text and drive, arrive alive, and please have a safe holiday, and we'll see you next week.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.